Hi everybody, Sue here from Galway. I've been talking this week about anxiety and the social and general anxiety that I experienced and all the symptoms and the effects it can have on your mental, emotional, physical well-being. So tonight I decided to just join you here and make a quick video on all the things that have helped me to overcome and manage anxiety in my life. And maybe it'll be beneficial for you too. There's always no harm in doing a recap on what works and what doesn't. So first of all, let's look at the things that exasperate anxiety. And that is, the first thing would be avoidance. So if you experience something that causes overwhelming anxiety and then you avoid that situation, that is just going to exasperate and become a vicious cycle of avoiding that thing in future, and that is not going to help you. So if you do start becoming avoidant of situations or things, it's very good to reflect and look at why you are feeling that anxiety or that apprehension. And if you need to seek assistance, do so in the early days before you develop these unhelpful patterns. The next thing that really exasperates anxiety is alcohol. I'm sorry to say. Alcohol really affects your anxiety. I know for me, if I've been having a few drinks and in the days that follow, I feel so much more underconfident, lower self-esteem, and more vulnerable, and definitely more anxious. And so alcohol kept to a minimum is preferable. And of course, the odd drink for somebody who has anxiety is really inviting because it helps them to relax. And that's what we will talk about, relaxation and more helpful ways of relaxing. And of course, if you're not sleeping well and when you drink alcohol, or maybe in excess, because it affects us all differently, then it affects your sleep, so you're not sleeping well. And I also know, and it's been proven, that if you're not sleeping well, I feel I don't do really well on little sleep, and it really does affect my mood and my well-being and my anxiety levels. So trying to make sure that you get enough sleep every night, because that is paramount for your well-being. Also, the food that you eat. I know that when I'm running races, for example, in South Africa, I ran a lot of races, and I really looked after my my food intake and alcohol. And because I was running, I needed to be on top of things and be healthy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been capable, and I really wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. So by taking up an activity that obviously makes you happy, and like in a sport that you're committed to and accountable to, you are in turn going to more than likely naturally eat more healthily and drink less alcohol. So it's really good to make yourself accountable to a team or to a club, which will help you to boost that side of things. Also, I've written here, like, we all know that caffeine. I know I can drink, instant coffee, the odd one, but definitely for me, percolated coffee, and a lot of people, it increases your heart rate and makes people feel a lot more anxious if they're predisposed to doing so. And also just, who are you surrounding yourself by? Often we can find that, without realizing, we can be surrounding ourselves by people who maybe aren't the best people for us to be around, and they tend to just make us feel anxious. So just being aware of who you are surrounding yourself by, and if you have a choice, surround yourself by people who make you feel good and boost your well-being and want the best for you. So what I've written here is then what has helped me, because I can only speak from my own experience. So at age 34, I went to the doctor, and for the first time I was told that I wasn't my anxiety, and I have to say this was the greatest relief of my life, as you can well imagine, because it meant that there's something I could do. And for the first time ever, I was told that it was all to do with what was in my head, and it was my thoughts, and that I, for the first time, become aware that I could manage my thoughts, because in the past, my thoughts always controlled me, and they happened to be of a negative and unhelpful nature. And from that time, it changed everything. So, looking at your mindset, and that's where mindfulness comes in, because when you're aware, you can make changes. So, this was the start of my journey into awareness, and I became aware of my thoughts and the quality of my thoughts, because the quality of your thoughts directly impacts on the quality of your life. And it's absolutely incredible. And when you become aware of it and learn to manage it, you truly can transform your whole life. And I have done that. And I've incorporated that into my training. Mindset and challenging and managing your mindset and your limiting beliefs is a huge thing that can transform your life. A huge thing that also, when one wants to relax, so when you feel anxious, you want to be able to relax, because when you can relax, first of all, you feel better, and you can respond rather than react, and you can think more logically and with more clarity and calm, as we had spoken about yesterday. And when you're in a calm state of rest and digest, so that you haven't triggered those stress hormones, then you can think with clarity and calm. So there's a physical response. So you haven't activated that fight, flight, freeze response. So when you are relaxed, so a lot of people want a drink to feel more relaxed, but you got to find other ways to relax. And it literally is a case of trying different things that work for you and having that as your go-to. So if you're there and you feel like just reaching out for a drink, just say, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to try this alternative method. And so what works really, really well for me, which I really enjoyed, was yoga. And you only need to do, like, say, 15 minutes. You can get it on YouTube, or just sitting quietly and becoming aware of, even for start with 1 minute, become aware of your thoughts and allowing your thoughts to come and to go. So it's like emotions. They don't stay forever. They're very transient, your thoughts and your emotions. So maybe yoga would work for you. At the age of 40, I started running, which was the best thing I have ever done, because to me, yoga or running was like meditation in motion. And the longer I ran for, the better I felt. And it was such a great release. And when you're exercising, it could be any type of exercise, I encourage you to try all different ones to find out what works for you. I was totally surprised that I loved running. I never thought I would. And it's my go-to these days to get out and to relieve that stress, helps you relax so you don't need those unhelpful coping mechanisms. Music, dance, again, you can do all of these things in your home. I'm just reading what I have written down. So when I talk about meditation, I'm not also talking about sitting in a corner on a cushion, which you can do anyway, but it can even be like taking 1 mindful minute a few times a day, anchoring the technique onto something you already do in the day, and taking that 1 minute just to become aware of your breathing. Make your exhale a little longer than your exhale, because that helps induce more calm in the mind and the body. And just taking that moment. So meditation doesn't have to be a long thing, that it's another thing that you have to add on to your schedule. You can do it while you're doing other things anyway. And that way I like, because you have this steady calm that you can bring through with you throughout your day, rather than waiting to do just the one meditation technique at the end of the day. Do a few during the day and just see how it works for you. What was incredible for me too was developing a habit of practicing gratitude at night, because when you're going to bed, and I know it's, again, all of these techniques are really quick and easy, but it's about incorporating them into your habits and your current routine that makes all the difference, and they are worth doing. and sticking to. So cultivating an attitude of gratitude, as they say, and looking at all the things that you can be grateful for in the day. First of all, that helps to shift you to a more positive mindset, and it also relaxes you and gives you a good feeling, so you can also sleep much easier rather than lying in bed thinking of all the things that you didn't go to, because our mindset tends to have an attitude of lack rather than abundance. So looking at all the things we do have makes us feel more abundant, and then we can fall asleep much more easily and feel good. So it's all about watching your mind and choosing what you put your mind on and where your thoughts are going to, and taking back control. Another thing, self-compassion was massive for me. So when I began this journey, I didn't like myself. You know what? I was angry at myself that I couldn't manage this awful thing called anxiety, and it overpowered me. And what happens, again, I can only speak for myself, but I was angry and I didn't like myself because I didn't like the person I was. Because I had this awful thing that wasn't allowing me to live the way I wanted to live. So I worked really hard on not just managing my thoughts, but also building self-compassion, self-care, learning to love myself. And that was absolutely transformational, because when you have more self-compassion and kindness to yourself, you can grow in a more positive way. Because let's face it, who grows and develops through criticism, right? So you got to nurture and develop self-love for yourself. And that was huge. Also, the people I surround myself by, I tend to surround myself as much as possible with positive, nurturing, kind, compassionate people. And thankfully, there are so many of them out there that I have been blessed to have these type of friends all through my life. And I seek out those people, which is really great. Also, learning the power of the breath and breathing techniques are so powerful to manage your anxiety. Now, at the start, I really did have to focus really hard on this, but it is so worth it, because it's, again, one of those truly transformational techniques that helps you regain control of your anxiety and your stress. And this, again, isn't just for people who struggle with chronic anxiety or stress. It can be for anybody, to enable you to perform and communicate and connect with people in a more helpful way. So everybody wins. What else? Another thing here is, I'm not sure if I said it earlier, but a lot of people would not go to the doctor, and for many reasons, or seek professional advice. For two reasons that I can see, and I've been thinking about this, is firstly because I feel first of all, they don't know what's wrong with them, or if there's anything wrong, they think it's just the way they are, like I was. And secondly, you often don't know that people are suffering or struggling with either chronic or severe anxiety or depression, because this is an internal thing and you can't always see the signs and symptoms outside. So a lot of people who have anxiety are fear being judged, especially social anxiety. You have this complete irrational fear of being judged by everybody. And so going to the doctor is like admitting this weakness and being judged. Now, I went because I just couldn't cope anymore. Didn't even know what was going on with me. But a lot of people will fear telling anybody about all these symptoms, because that's exactly their fear. So admitting or talking about their fear is a very, very scary thing, because they fear being seen as weak and vulnerable. And the thing to know is it is the strong person who reaches out for help. The strong person who knows that they are worthy and they are enough and they are special enough that everybody needs a helping hand with something every now and then. They really do. And recognizing that and reaching out for help can transform your life. You have this wonderful life, and to live it in, to be your happiest and healthiest and achieve all your dreams is what it's all about. And if being able to manage anxiety can enable you to achieve all these things, then reach out and ask for help. Because I know I developed this, my 9-week or 6-week or 12-week course, whichever you are looking for, out of sheer desperation of trying to find things for myself that worked. So I've put everything into those courses that I know works, or I know worked for me, and also have been scientifically proven to work. So if you're struggling, or you know someone struggling, they don't need to struggle anymore. They can reach out and just learn these quick, easy to use techniques and just shift that mindset. It's easy, but it does take dedication and that person wanting to do it for themselves. But it is so worth it because it can truly transform your life. I feel like I'm waffling now. It's also about learning to recognize the signs in your body before they hijack you. Because what happens is often we feel those sensations in our body first. Now, if we are aware of what's going on in our body and that maybe we're tensing up, we feel nauseous or our heart's racing, then it's in that sacred moment that we have that space to use our techniques before these symptoms hijack our rational mind, and then you can forget about it because you've lost that control of your logical thinking mind because your emotional brain takes over. So learning to tune into your body and those signals and using the techniques to stop it in its tracks, and that again is a practice, is very, very empowering. And believe me, I've used it and it works so beautifully with practice. So that's basically what I wanted to say this evening. And also a lot of people find journaling really, really helpful because it helps them to get out of their head. We tend to spend too much time in our heads. And when we try and get out of our heads and write everything down, we can feel a lot of relief. So journaling is also very, very powerful. And finding any mindful activity that you might love is so therapeutic. And to spend a bit of time every day doing that, whether it's dance, for me it's running, whether it's for you art, music, cooking, baking, whatever it is for you, whether you struggle with anxiety and heightened stress or not, doing a mindful activity like that, where you put your full attention and focus into something that you love, that you get into a state of flow, is so magical, and that you can know that that's there for you anytime you need when you are struggling with stress or anxiety, and that's your go-to. So I hope that's been helpful this evening. It's always nice to have a reminder of what exasperates the anxiety and what helps your anxiety. So that's been my experience. If you know of anything that has helped you, please do share in the comments, because we can make this into a conversation where we all help each other. And maybe you've thought of a few things that I haven't thought of. And you know what? We're in this together. We all struggle at times. And you're a great group of people. And I love chatting to you. And when I'm with you, it's very hard to stop because I just so love the conversation. And this comes from a person who years ago, you couldn't say boo to me and I would run into the corner. So this is from me being totally transformed through all these techniques. And that is what I wish for anybody else who struggles out there. So on that note, I will share maybe some breathing techniques or other techniques with you tomorrow. And you can start with that and see if it helps you going forward. Also on my website, there is, you can sign up for a free video of 2 mindful breathing techniques, which are also very powerful. So let me know anything that works for you. I'd love to know, or any questions you have. And I will see you soon. Bye, Lisa, Suzanne. Thanks for joining. Bye.